Hey guys, it's Ben here for Next Level Producer. Today I'd like to show you how I produced and mixed my latest single called Don't Run Away. This is for my singer-songwriter project, Benjamin Theodore. As you might know, I'm an artist as well, and I release music regularly under the name Benjamin Theodore. Well, this single that we're going to do a deep dive into today is one of my latest tracks that I've released. So I would suggest you grab a cup of coffee or a cup of tea because we are going to go deep into this production, and I'm going to show you how I produced the drums for this track, how I used 30 vocal tracks to create a massive sound, the biggest I've ever created. I'm super proud of this, and how I used dynamics and techniques like a vocal automation and some kind of arrangement techniques to create a journey throughout this song that captivates you as a listener and that will keep you listening until the end. All right, so if you like this track, of course, I would really appreciate it if you would give it a stream on Spotify or wherever you stream your music. And if you like my music in general, follow me on Spotify. That really helps with the algorithm, because we on Spotify are subject to the almighty algorithm gods of Spotify. And without further ado, I'm going to play you the full track. So if you've already listened to it and you're just curious how I produced it, you can skip to a later point. I think the song is about 4 minutes long, so you can skip it. But if not, please listen to it in full so you know what we are going to be talking about. Okay, so without further ado, this is Don't Run Away by Benjamin Theodore.
Got the news, you just act like everything's okay. Life is keeping you so busy, but deep inside you know there is something that you hide away. Open up to me, don't run away from the shadows in your head. Don't run away from what you're trying to forget. So tell me now what keeps you down, and show me how you feel, and stop running. Don't run away. Just carry on if you won't let go. I can see your worries weigh you down. Don't you know you're not alone? I am by your side. I know you can make it through this storm. Open up to the shadows in your head. Don't run away from what you're trying to forget. So tell me now what keeps you down, and show me how you feel, and stop running. Don't run away. Don't run away. Don't keep running. but don't keep running.
All right, so that's Don't Run Away by Benjamin Theodore. That's me. You can stream this song on Spotify, Apple Music, or wherever you stream your music. I would really appreciate it if you would click the like button on Spotify and follow me there, because I've got a lot more music coming. There's actually an album coming. It's in the factory right now. It's being pressed on vinyl, and I'm pressing a CD as well. So that's coming in late January, I think. So stay tuned for more exciting music by me. Well, this track started, let's give a quick little bit of context before I dive into it. It started in a songwriting session with a guy called Toby Houben. He's from the Netherlands as well. He participated in the Voice Kids a couple of years ago. He's a young guy. And we started writing a song, and he told me a story about a friend of his that lost, I think he or she lost a parent, and he or she wanted to run away from it all and not having to deal with all the emotions that kept coming up. So that's why we started writing the song Don't Run Away. So just don't run away from it all, but I'll be here to help you, and it will be okay. That's basically what the song is about. And we made a little demo, and it stayed like that for a long time. But the song just kept coming back to me. So I think after 2 years, I started writing another verse. I started finishing up all the lyrics. I started making the song complete, and I really wanted to include this on my album. So that's a little bit of the origin story of Don't Run Away. And I had the vision for this song, because it all starts with a vision, of course, to put this layered vocals in the track. I really wanted to experiment more with creating vocal stacks on my album, and this is a great example of that. So let's dive into how I did that real quick. So in the bridge, they enter, and it starts by me singing just the low part.
Keep on going, but don't keep running. Keep on going, but don't keep running. Keep on going, but don't keep running. Keep on going, but don't keep running.
And those are 6 parts. So there are actually 3 sections, and they all consist of 6 parts. One a vocal part in the middle, and 2 band left and right, and then I did that another time. So it's basically 6 tracks per section, and then that gets stacked upon another.
Keep on going, but don't keep running. Keep on going, but don't keep running.
Another one.
Keep on going, but don't keep running. Keep on going, but don't keep running.
So those are, I think, 18 tracks. So that's a large amount of vocal tracks, but that leads to this huge sound. And they all have the same plugins. They all get the same treatment. They get sent to a couple of effects tracks. Let's see, I have the effects here. There's a Valhalla Vintage Verb, of course. It's my favorite plugin. Just a couple of standard things. There's a huge Valhalla Vintage Verb as well. A chorus effect, which gives it some stereo with Valhalla Supermassive. I don't know what's going through that. But as you can already tell, it's quite a complex song, quite a complex production, at least for me. I like to keep things very simple, but especially the vocals is just a lot. And I run everything, all the vocals, through a vocal bus, and normally I don't do that, but in this case there were so many vocal tracks that they needed to sound cohesive, that they needed to sound like one. And the way I did that is that I ran them through a vocal bus, And then I added an R Vox. I don't even remember what I did here, so this is the first time for me seeing this since almost a year. And this is just a little bit of compression that pushes everything forward. Then there's a gate, which cuts out all the noise. Of course, when you start compressing 30 vocal tracks, then there will be a lot of noise that gets pushed forward. So this cuts that out. And then this is something that I haven't done before as well, is I use the MoTT, which is sort of like a multi-band compressor expander on all the vocals.
From the shadows in your head, don't run away from what you're trying to forget. So tell me now what keeps you down and show me how you feel.
On the vocal upfront setting, and I blended that in at 18%. So just adding a little bit more sizzle, a little bit more sparkle. It's blending everything together nicely and giving it a little bit more of an edge. And there's also so much going on musically that I needed the vocals to poke through and to stay on top. And then, of course, there's so much compression. There are inevitably some harsh S frequencies that are being introduced, so that
And stop running.
and the de-esser cuts that out a little bit. And this is all post the normal processing that I've already done. So let's go over the lead vocal. It's called Band Scratch, but it started out as a scratch track, but ended up as being the lead vocal. I'm doing some manual pitch correction with Wavestune. We're not going to go in every plugin in depth because that will make this video hours and hours long. If you want to see that, leave a comment down below. Of course, I can do that as well. Then there's an automatic pitch correction, an auto-tune plugin added as well. Gives it sort of like this modern sound. So the first pitch correction is for correction, the second is for sound. Then I'm using the Neumann U47 mic model in the virtual mix rack. I'm using the Slate modeling mic. Then I'm using an EQ. If you've seen previous videos of me on how I mix music, you might recognize some things. And of course, because I made an album consisting of 11 tracks, they needed to sound cohesive. They needed to sound similar, all the tracks to each other. So that's why, of course, I used same settings and same plugins on all the individual tracks on the album. So just a little bit of EQ, not that much. A little bit of CLA76 compressors, my favorite compressor plugin on vocals. Let's see.
Don't run away.
Adds quite a lot of compression, gives it that sound. Then I'm adding a LA2A optical compressor. Let's just
Keep running. Don't run away.
even more compression.
From what you're trying to forget.
So of course the lead vocal needs to stick out the most when you have 30 vocals. So that's why I need a lot of compression to push it forward, and some de-essing with the Iosis E2D. Then just a little bit more of R Vox that pushes the vocal forward and makes it, in my opinion, sound a little bit more three-dimensional. And then I added just another high-pass filter, and I reduced some of the low mids. I think I got some feedback from my mastering engineer that it sounded a little bit muddy. So that's why I added this EQ to carve that out. But then later, let's see what I did here. I don't even remember. I added a little bit of high end with this Neve 1073 EQ. Just a little sparkle to differentiate it from the other vocals because there are so many. And that's the lead vocal, and all the vocals get a similar treatment. And there are like the main vocals that are, let's see, these parts, I think.
You just act like everything's okay.
And here in the chorus,
Don't run away.
just two doubles, left, right. Very simple. There are some ad libs.
I can see your worries.
Oh, this is the harmony
weigh you
part.
down.
Some ad libs are added later on in the track.
Hey, don't run away from the shadows in your head. Don't run
Harmonies.
away. Don't run away from
And
what
it's
you
all about making the track sound interesting. So that's why you add ad libs. And Charlie Puth once said that you need, as a vocalist, make sure that your vocal is in the track as much as possible, on as much places as possible. That way you put a stamp on the production with your vocal. Then people can't really avoid it. So I'm not a type of singer that does that like fills all the gaps with the ad libs and stuff like that. I'd like to do it tastefully. But you need to keep things interesting, and you need to differentiate different sections of the track from one another, so you keep the listener engaged. So that's why there are so many different vocal parts, and this is called vocal arranging. And this is what I teach in my course, Radio Ready Vocals. There I go in depth about how you make a vocal arrangement that captivates the listener and that will keep the listener engaged, so they keep coming back for your music. And this is a great example of doing that. This is basically just a really complex vocal arrangement with all these 30 tracks that are there for a reason. It starts the track with like this. Oh, let me unsolo it. Get to this part in a second. There's 2 bars. And then there's this coming. And this is like you do in a movie where you use foreshadowing. And this whoa, that part, that is like a great pitch, by the way. This is like a foreshadowing technique. And you already get hooked on this theme that I'm introducing here. With da, 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 da. At first you hear it with the piano and electric guitar. Da, da. And this is like a short preview of what's to come. So foreshadowing. And that's, of course, being reintroduced later in the track.
don't run away.
Post-chorus. And this is a hook. This is very important that you use hooks to captivate your listener. Well, again, in Radio Ready Vocals, we go into that in depth. I'll leave a link down below. And so this is the whoa-ho parts are being used throughout the song. Here again. Here.
Don't run away.
And then in the end as well.
Don't run away.
Just the vocals.
So don't run away. Keep on going, but don't keep running. Keep on going, but don't keep running. Keep on going, but don't keep running. Keep on going, but don't keep running.
Oh yeah, man, I love that. It's so big, and everything is there for a reason, as I told you already. All right. Well, we can spend a lot more time on vocals, but let's just go to the drums for now. It starts with the simple beat. Oh, this one isn't even playing. I don't think I downloaded it on a new drive, so there's like a, oh yeah, this is like a drum loop, but so you're not hearing it right now. This is a kick, the second part. The first part, I think that I don't have that on this particular drive, so you have to imagine that as well. And it's just to establish the rhythm of the track, because it starts with just the piano, some Contact piano samples. Yeah, I bought the plugin. It's the Maverick Grand. Yeah, I'm not going to log in right now. But just that and a vocal, that's very boring. So because it's like a medium tempo ballad, and this drums that add sort of rhythm, and it's a shame that I don't have this particular groove in this track right now, but you just have to imagine it. And there are some added percussion sounds and risers, sweeps,
Don't run away
crash,
from the
sweep.
shadow.
That is the transition to another section. There's some risers as well.
How can you just
And
carry
then
on?
this is the main groove, the main beat. Boom, boom. Sounds horrible when you listen to it in solo, but in context it sounds amazing.
Don't you know you're not alone?
So this is this part. Oh, let me see. I added a little radiator plugin. Adds a little bit of grit. Then there's this kick. It's a little bit more pointy. I borrowed this from Charlie Puth.
Don't run away.
And then there's this one that's even more pointier.
So tell me now what
There's a snare, bam, whack. It's just a sample with the little radiator on top of that as well. And then when we move further into the song, there's this snare.
running, keep on going, but don't keep running, keep on going, but don't keep running, keep on going, but don't keep.
And there is some fun percussion that I added that I really like. For example, in the bridge section, there's this loop. This one. It's just a sample that I downloaded from BandLab.
Running, keep on going,
At first, I didn't have this sample going on here in the bridge section, and then it sounded like this. It was a little bit empty.
but don't keep running, keep on going, but don't.
I felt like the song lacked some excitement and came to a standstill without any percussion going on. So this one fit perfectly.
Don't keep running, keep on going, but don't keep.
Adds a little bit of rhythm, and then this let's see. Oh, this one I like really a lot. There, I recorded a tambourine, and I felt like something was missing in
Oh, you're not alone.
this second verse.
I know you.
There was this gap. Doom, doom, da, good, da. At that point, I felt like something was missing. So I recorded this tambourine. I think it fits perfectly within the production. This is like a small thing that I'm really nerdy about. I think I love this tambourine. I think it's one of the favorite things in this entire track, and you don't really notice it if you're not paying attention. And I think the sound of it is great as well. It's just that. But it's being played on the perfect, at the perfect moment.
Don't you know you're not alone? I am by your side. I know you can
It's
make.
super subtle, but I love it. And then there's like a regular tambourine part.
Don't run away.
This one. Just played by me, it's not a loop.
From what you're trying.
Now a tambourine has an important function to perform in a music production. And you might already know what it is, but if not, I'm going to tell you. The tambourine adds high-end excitement. So if you feel like there is some energy missing. It lacks energy in a chorus, especially. Just add a tambourine. 9 times out of 10, it works perfectly because it adds high-end excitement and high-end energy. In those high frequencies, there's a lot of energy. So especially with the tambourine, you can do it as well. I like to use shakers as well when it needs to be a little bit more subtle, but tambourines add lots of excitement. So to demonstrate that, I'm going to play a little bit of this part for you, and I'm going to mute it so you can see what the difference is.
Don't run away from the shadows in your head. Don't run away from what you're trying to forget.
So this part.
Tell me now what keeps you down and show me how you feel. Running, don't run away.
Started to immediately, excuse me, notice that there's something missing, and that's because the tambourine isn't there. So in this instance, it's not really that extreme, but in some cases there's an immediate gap as soon as you mute the tambourine. So that's that. Let's see, what else can I show you? I think I can show you the bass guitar and the guitars. Oh yeah, there's great acoustic guitar parts happening as well on the second part of the second verse. And that's an important moment because after the first chorus, you can either keep the listener engaged or you can lose him, because he or she already has heard the most important thing about your track, the chorus. So that's what that person came for. And so you have to make sure that after the first chorus, you keep things interesting so you don't lose the listener. And in the second half of the second chorus, I almost always add some stuff to make that chorus go a little, or that verse move a little quicker. So, and I added some guitar parts there.
Don't you know?
And they are high sounding. I'm using the AKG's C12 microphone model on this part, adding a lot of high end. So that's high end. That high end is what I need.
From the shadows,
Go back.
don't you know you're not alone?
Strumming.
I am by your side. I know you can make it through this storm.
Again, it's subtle in context, but it's just it has a role to play. That high end strumming, that's what really makes it come to life there. Now, there's an electric guitar here. That one. Whoops. And then, oh, that's funny. Then there's the second part going on here. Just some power chords.
Don't run away.
The funny thing is that a lot of these parts, except for the lead guitar maybe, they not really stand out, but they blend together, creating that massive sound. Then I have a bass guitar. It's a 5-string bass. I'm using another bass guitar on most of the tracks on my album, but for this track I'm using the 5-string because I wanted that low end to be there. Really nice bass sound. And I added the R-Bass plugin, which is kind of cool to talk about. This plugin, if you've never heard of it, adds certain harmonics that makes your bass either poke through the speakers better, so that way you'll be able to hear the bass on small speakers as well. So that's really a mixing hack, but you can use it to add more sub frequencies as well. And in this case, I'm using I'm doing both. So without, it sounds like this. really sub low end.
Your side.
I think I'm playing it with a pick as well. And the best part about this bass part is this riff. I kind of borrowed that line from Sean Hurley playing on Lady Antebellum's Heartbreak. Think it's time to take a heartbreak. Don't go don't. I think it's not the same key, but it's the same chord progression over there. So I love that song as well. So that's the bass guitar. Then there are some other electric guitar parts. And man, I can't even recall that I did this all.
Don't run
This part, the great
from the shadows
chorus.
in your head. Don't run away. Forget. So tell me now what keeps you down and show me how.
Funny that you don't even notice the chorus being present as much as it is when you listen to it in solo. But when you listen to it in context, you don't notice the chorus.
Don't run away.
Nice, I really love that. Now there's a guitar part that I added sort of at the last moments. I felt like it needed some sort of an intro and some interesting atmospheric part. So I took a note from this guitar part, I duplicated that, and I did some fiddling, and I ended up with this. So there's of course volume automation happening, and it's just one note, dong, dong, that note. But I added a repeater, a delay plugin that adds dung, 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 a pitch shift, which adds harmonics, upper octave harmonics. It makes it sound like a synthesizer, and then there's a chroma verb that adds more reverb. So this is a cool way to take one note from a guitar part and then turn it into something completely different. I turned it into almost like a synthesizer, like an atmospheric pad that's there on the background, and it completely transformed the song. Makes it sound more dreamy. So I really love that. Well, to conclude this already very long video, in which I hope I have shown you a lot of techniques and gave you a lot of inspiration that you can apply to your own mixes and productions as well. We're going to go over the mix bus processing. First, we're going into a multiband compressor and expander. And this is something that I normally don't do, but on my album, I really liked the sound of this plugin. It sort of adds a modern pop sound, which I really like. Go to a...
Just carry on if you won't let go.
Then there's the virtual mix bus, which adds a little console saturation harmonics sound, adding a API EQ, with which I'm not doing anything. I think I experimented with this and then left it alone, so it's only active going through the circuits, but it's not doing a lot of anything basically. And it's a Pultec EQ, which is adding a little bit of 20 hertz, so very low sub frequencies, adding a little bit of 5K. Very simple stuff, but that adds a lot of color. I replaced some of the Waves or Slate Digital plugins with Universal Audio plugins. As you can see, I started out by using the Waves version, but then when I was in the final stages of mixing my album, I got the UAD Spark subscription, So a lot of the universal audio plugins, and I think they sounded really good. So I replaced some plugins with UA plugins. So then I go into the VBC rack, so which is a bus compressor, actually 3 bus compressors, all adding certain flavor.
I can see your worries weigh you down. Don't you know you're not alone?
It's not doing a lot of compression, but it's adding color definitely. Then there's this tape machine.
I am by your side. I know you can make
Really
it,
blends everything together. The fresh air plugin adds some high-end sparkle.
make it through the storm.
Brings out the acoustic guitars.
Up to me.
And there's a CLA mixdown.
Don't run away.
I think this is the only song on my album on which I use this CLA mixdown plugin. It adds EQ, it adds compression, it adds harmonic saturation. But I think that this needed more glue. It needed, because there's so much going on, so many vocals, so much information, that it needed to be compact, needed to be compressed more. So this really glued everything together. Without.
From the shadows in your head,
Sounds
don't run away.
okay.
From what you're
It really inflates it. It adds a little bit more kerosene to the fire. And then finally I'm using the API 2500, which I sort of added last minute to all the mixes for my album as well, because this was like the final missing piece. Sun is starting to shine through the window in my eye here, but that's okay. And this adds a certain character which it was lacking, and when I put this plugin on all my mixes, then it sounded like it was finished.
We're trying to forget. So tell me now what keeps you down, and show me how you feel, and stop running. Don't run away.
It makes it sound more modern, more compressed, more, I don't know how to describe it, but it gave me a certain type of sound that it needed to stand out. This took it from like an okay track to like a really radio ready pop sound, which I was looking for. And of course it sounds louder. I'm adding 3 dB of makeup gain, but this makeup gain is sort of magical, because this functions as type of soft clip limiter as well, so it blends it together. It does something with the transients. Well, yeah, that really made it the way it was. And finally, I promised to talk a little bit about volume automation on vocals, and I did that on the vocal bus. So I have this all vocals track here, and I automated that. I did fader writing, and that means just grabbing the fader with your mouse and then writing it throughout the song to make sure that all the vocals were perfectly balanced with the music, and that it created a little bit of more of a dynamic situation. So that's what I did here, and that's really important, because sometimes I felt like the vocals got lost in the mix, and then sometimes they were too loud. So that's where automation comes into play, and that also creates an alive environment for your mixes to live in. So that's basically the entire song. Of course, there's so much more that we could go into, but this is already a very long video. So if you've made it all the way to the end, first I want to say thank you for watching this all the way to the end, for listening to my music. And I'm curious, what is something that you picked up from this video that you didn't know before? Is there something that you learned that stood out, that you are going to try as well? Please let me know in the comments. I would love to hear from you. And of course, listen to my song Don't Run Away on Spotify or wherever you stream music. There's a link down in the description where you can click on. And if you want to learn more about producing music yourself, I have something for you. It's my gift to you for watching this video all the way to the end. You've been with me a very long time. It's called the DIY Producer Checklist. This is a very simple checklist that you can use to to go from an idea to a radio ready production on Spotify or on the radio, because there are actually 5 important steps in the music production world that you need to follow. There are 5 phases, as you will, and mixing is only one of them. Producing is only one of them, but there are actually 5. So if you download my checklist, it's literally a checklist. It's 2-3 pages. It's not that long. You can just follow that and see that you're not missing important steps in this production. There are super nice, super important tips and tricks that I put in this checklist that you can use in your productions as well, to elevate it from a simple home recording to a professional sounding production as well, just like I did here, as you saw with your own eyes what I created. Well, this is something that you can do as well. So long story short, you can download this DIY producer checklist for free by clicking the link down in the description. And I'd like to thank you again for watching this video, for listening to my music. Don't forget to subscribe, hit a thumbs up button if you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you again real soon. Bye.